Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to another edition of BevNet's Elevator Talk Livestream. I'm Ray Latif, the editor and producer of BevNet's Taste Radio podcast. For the next 60 minutes, we're going to be chatting with entrepreneurs from across the food and beverage industry about their innovative brands and products and news related to those brands and products. Joining me in this episode as a co-host is Larry Kahn, a managing partner with Beechwood Capital. Larry, how are you?
Hey, nice to see you, Ray. Thanks for having me. You know, as a fellow Bostonian, it's a little weird not to be in the studio, but it's great to be here and appreciate the opportunity to meet some amazing entrepreneurs and companies today.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. We've had you on Taste Radio before, as I mentioned, to the Taste Radio podcast. Episode 15 of Taste Radio Insider. The title was How to Win Over Venture Capitalists, a fantastic episode. For folks who aren't familiar with you or haven't listened to that episode, tell us a bit about yourself and Beechwood Capital.
Sure. Yeah, we at Beechwood Capital invest in early stage consumer brands, typically Series A and Series B rounds. And our focus is really trying to find unique and disruptive early stage and growth businesses across a number of categories. Healthy living food and beverage is a big part of our focus and has been for quite a while. And for us, we're a little bit different. I think in the foundation of our approach comes from our own experience as operators. My background is building a business in the cooking space and the small appliance space, which we brought from a startup to a larger company, a company called the Holmes Group, or Crock-Pot might be the brand that you know the best. And we were able to build that business with a couple different private equity partners along the way and learned a lot. And I think the common experience of that, of building a business and understanding that cadence with investment partners, where we made a lot of mistakes along the way, really informed us, of what we think is the right cadence or the right type of partner, and has informed our investment thesis in the space. And through that, after we sold the business to a strategic, and I stayed on with that strategic, we started this platform really to find visionary entrepreneurs and in kind of up and coming companies and categories where we could kind of bet on that entrepreneur and also utilize our experience maybe to help along the way. And we've been, really extraordinarily lucky to partner with some great entrepreneurs and companies that we've invested in, like Bonza, Once Upon a Farm, Flying Embers, and Urban Remedy, just to name a couple or a few. I think we kind of bet on the vision of the founders and try to take that ride and help them get to the next level. So it's a really fun place to be. And, in this category in particular, this group of categories, there's so much innovation and disruption. It's an amazing place to be.
Well, you mentioned you're looking for visionary entrepreneurs and innovative concepts. I've got in my hand a list of a lot of visionary founders and innovative concepts that we're going to be chatting about today. I'm really excited about it. Larry, are you ready to meet these entrepreneurs?
Let's do it. This is the best part of what I do, is to hear what people are, how they're innovating and getting out there. So I'm excited to do it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, if you're just tuning in, once again, this is BevNet's Elevator Talk Livestream. I'm Ray Latif. I'm joined by Larry Kahn, managing partner with Beechwood Capital, and we're going to be chatting with entrepreneurs from across the country about their innovative and disruptive brands and products. Let's get to our first guest of the show. That's Marshall Rader, who is the founder and CEO of the GFB. Marshall, how are you?
Good, Ray. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Great to see you, calling in from Detroit, Michigan. How are things in your city?
They're interesting, just like the rest of the country. But overall, I think we're hopefully moving forward and opening back up.
Fantastic. The GFB, you guys have been around for a bit and made a name for yourselves, obviously, in a certain area. But for folks who aren't familiar with the brand, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, the GFB, we're all about really making good for you foods in good for you ways. What that really means is, we're proud of a couple of big things that we do. We make everything ourselves in our zero waste facility. And also, by making everything ourselves, we actually employ a workforce of about 40 people to do that. And we recruit exclusively from folks that have challenges getting employment. So generally those with a criminal background, from disadvantaged backgrounds as well. And so we're proud of that, but it's also about what we make. And we focused mostly on the gluten-free alternative diet segment. So we started as the gluten-free bar, selfishly 10 years ago when I was diagnosed with celiac disease and really finding a gluten-free, high-protein bar with good ingredients was not that common back then. So we launched bars. Soon after that, we launched Bites, which is our biggest product. You can find it about 12 or 13,000 stores in the U.S. and Canada today. And we've continued to try and innovate with our oatmeal as well as our new grain-free Bites.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more of those grain-free Bites. Those are your newest products. What makes them different from others that are coming out in the market, especially because we're seeing so many of these Bites come to store shelves, and particularly in the past year or so.
Yeah, for sure. When we introduced Bites, it was kind of a weird category for retailers. They said, we love your product, but where does it go in our stores? And eventually that kind of cluster category developed, that pouch snack category developed. And ours are different. Number one, we make them differently. Because we make them ourselves, they're kind of a pain to make. It requires some manual work. And so they're different from everything on the market, just the way they're made. And then from a product standpoint, in that category, the highest protein, lowest sugar, lowest added sugar product on the shelf, really about nutrient density, great flavors, blueberry almond, banana nut, dark chocolate hazelnut, really focusing on packing some nutrition into the product in a great tasting format where there's really you're not missing out on anything as a consumer.
Larry, I'm interested to hear about, how you evaluate established brands such as a GFB and, how you think about their innovation strategies. I mean, Marshall outlined these new Bites and talked about the point of differentiation, but, what do you think of these kinds of companies in terms of how you think about expanding your portfolio?
Yeah, first of all, great pitch. I think what drew me first was, the fact that you have a platform brand, right? And you've made that pivot over time to allow for that, from your first product. And I think something that we do look for is the ability for a platform brand to be created where you can have, a suite of products underneath and continue to expand that business, maybe jumping off from an initial innovative product, but able to platform, from that. And that's, we've been lucky to have that in our portfolio. I think a question, I always hear, or I always ask maybe from, the self-production, the self-made production side is scalability. And, it can be intensive and scale can be an issue. I think I'd probably ask and dig into that a little bit on, whether you can continue to fuel your business from a self-production standpoint. And so, I throw that back to you and I think that the grain-free approach is excellent and one that's on trend and continues to get a lot of consumer traction. I just wonder if you're able to continue to scale that way.
Yeah. In terms of the trend, I think the part of it that I think is going to be hopefully helpful as well, it's been obviously a challenging environment to launch a new product, but from a retailer standpoint, they've got all these diets they've got to cater to, from whether it's grain-free or paleo or gluten-free. So a lot of those diets can be met. So they've got all these products they're trying to put on the shelf, whether in a small set that caters to those folks. And so as a product that does work for a lot of people, hopefully that allows kind of solves that problem from the retailer, because they can meet all those dietary restrictions with that one product. And from a manufacturing standpoint, it's become kind of who we are. We've gotten pretty good at it over time, but that is definitely a challenge that I can't minimize the challenge of trying to be a great marketing and product company at the same time you're trying to be a world-class manufacturer. Yeah. It definitely is a challenge, but it's in our DNA. But we'll continue to evaluate that, especially with new products where people can just maybe make the new products better than we can in some cases.
Certainly like a ton of advantages and also challenges as you grow. And I think that's, but it sounds like you've attacked that. And I guess the other quick, comment maybe on, merchandising strategy, how can you get, from maybe the gluten-free shelf, maybe to the general snacking shelf? And has that been, is that an opportunity or, negative for you as you think about your continued expansion?
Yeah. And we generally target the regular snacking set when possible. It's kind of store dependent. Some retailers are really executing that free from area well, and others not as much. And so with our new Bites, we were sort of targeting that breakfast bar on the go snacking set versus the gluten-free or the free from set. So yeah, that's always something we're working to improve as well.
Well, Marshall, I've seen your products in the expanding healthy snack set in CVS, and I'm glad to see it. You seem to be an anchor on that in that space. So congratulations on everything you've done to this point, and can't wait to try the bites.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ray. Thanks, Larry, for the time. Appreciate it.
All right. That was Marshall Rader, who is the founder and CEO of the GFB. Thanks so much for joining us. Great start to the show, Larry. Interesting take on the evolution of this grain-free, gluten-free space and the GFB's leadership in it. All right, let's move on to our next guest. That's Paul Trendler, who is the co-owner of Super Belly Ferments. Paul, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Ray. Thanks for having me, Larry.
Thank you so much for joining us, calling all the way from Bend, Oregon. I love Bend. How's the food and beverage scene evolving out there?
You know, it's really exciting right now. We're located like right in the Bend Central District. So it's like the middle of town, and it's really become to be like revitalized. And there's a whole lot of different food producers of all sorts right in our area. We're working with like a local CSA that's literally like 4 buildings down that do like small deliveries across the town and things like that. So food and beverage is definitely growing here. There are challenges being like off of the I-5 corridor where, a lot of those major West Coast food and beverage companies are, but people are realizing it's a great place to live and work. And so it's pretty great so far.
Well, I think you just gave a great representation and testimonial for your city. So well done on that. Super Belly Ferments. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so my wife and I it's a family-owned company. We started in 2018. We've always been loving to ferment things like beer, breads, kombuchas, juns, kvass, sauerkraut, all that. But we've never been more excited than to share like our line of fermented dressings. And so we're naturally fermenting vegetables and herbs and things, and then we're blending that with 100% pure avocado oil. Salads are essentially like fertilizer for your biome. And so being able to have like a naturally probiotic, living food to add to that is pretty amazing, I think. We offer 7 refrigerated dressings that have been really well received so far, and they've been a lot of fun to make and share with everyone. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're seeing more brands incorporate or at least promote a probiotic element to their products. Larry, how do you think it works, for Super Belly Ferments and within this dressing marinade category?
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to be, involved with a number of businesses that utilize probiotics as, a core attribute to their product. Flying Embers being, one of them in the better for you alcohol space, and then, Revive Kombucha before that, and obviously like the consumer is continuing to recognize, the benefits of probiotics and what they do. I think maybe the challenge I'd ask you, or like, the question is, how are you able to, in like a small amount of real estate, in that dressings aisle, allow yourself to kind of, jump off the shelf? What from a packaging standpoint are you able to articulate that benefit to the consumer? Because as you just articulated right now is fantastic about, where that fits in. How do you do that on your packaging?
Yeah, that's a great question. What we try to do with our packaging specifically is, I kind of got some glare here, so I apologize, but we really want to have the fact that it's naturally fermented and probiotic in the forefront, and also that we're using avocado oil. When you stack up salad dressings and the dressing and marinades, whether in the fridge or shelf stable, what goes inside of them is the biggest separator. And so we want to show that we are using like the highest quality oils that you can eat, really, and really high quality in-house made ferments. So we make everything here, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And so with our packaging, we just want to make it clear that everything we have is non-GMO, gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy, keto, paleo, all of those. We really try to just show that we're making a real natural food, and we're committed to that always. So.
And where are you on price point with this? Because I know that's always a little bit of struggle on the condiment aisle. I think that people are used to paying a certain amount of, a certain price point, and there's certainly expansion to that, but just wondered where you kind of lay in there.
So we're right at like $6.99, $7 is where we line up. And compared to some other refrigerated dressings, like that's definitely a shift up. as soon as you look closer at what's inside and what what you're looking at, you realize it's not apples to apples. For most salad dressing companies and marinades, when you begin to scale, the first thing that people shift to is like a lower quality processed oil that isn't as good for you, but still tastes good and is cost effective. And so our price point is a little bit north because of that, but we're committed to just bringing in the best foods we can.
Paul, where are your products sold? Talk about your retail footprint at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're focusing on Pacific Northwest. You can find us at all the Whole Foods in the Pacific Northwest, natural grocers. We're at a variety of different kind of regional chains and co-ops throughout Oregon and Washington. And we also sell direct and ship nationwide through our website, ferments.com. And so we can get orders out pretty quick through that as a direct pathway. So.
Fantastic. Well, for a company that was founded in 2018, it sounds like you've accomplished quite a bit to this point. Congratulations on all your success to this point, and hope to see your brand in my neck of the woods really soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right. That was Paul Trendler, who is the co-owner of Super Belly Ferments. Are you a big salad dressing guy, Larry? You're into the marinades? And
yeah, I think that that's, again, the condiment, I think dressing aisle has a lot of innovation. And I think, there's real opportunity there, in like a sleeper category. And I think we've been lucky within our portfolio, like within pasta or baby food as an example of seeing some great brands that really turn a very large category, upside down a little bit with their innovation. So I think that was, very cool to hear a little bit about that product.
Yeah, I mean, from everything we're hearing, Center Store is back on track, or at least growing when it hadn't been in previous years. So hopefully that remains true in years to come. Yeah. All right, up next we have Sylvie Charles, who's the CEO and co-founder of Just Date. Sylvie, how are you?
Hey there, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well. Just Date. It sounds pretty straightforward. What does the company do?
Yeah, so at Just Date, we make date-based sweeteners and sweet treats that are low glycemic index, antioxidant rich, nutrient dense, and completely refined sugar-free. Our flagship is Just Date syrup, which is made from just one ingredient, organic California dates. So I'm a doctor and mom, and it's really those two pieces that, drove the creation of this product. I worked mostly with diabetic patients and found that they were trying really hard to cut sugar, and they had a hard time replacing it with artificial sweeteners or high intensity sweeteners and things that they thought were good for them but actually weren't. So that drove the creation of Just Date syrup, and we're now expanding to additional sweeteners, including our recently launched Just Pomegranate Molasses, and that is launching in Whole Foods nationwide this week alongside our date syrup, which has been in Whole Foods for about a year and a half. So we're very excited about that, and some additional sweeteners coming out later this year, and then we're expanding into low glycemic snacks and sweet treats in early 2021.
Wow, sounds like you've got a lot going on. Now, is the Just Pomegranate syrup, is that called Just Date pomegranate syrup, or is it called Just Pomegranate?
Yeah, so our company name's Just Date. The product itself is pomegranate molasses. So pomegranate molasses is this classic Middle Eastern staple. It's so good as a sweetener. It's very tart and bright and can be used in salad dressings, cocktails, pretty much anywhere you're looking for both those tart and sweet elements, even on yogurt, ice cream. And it has an incredible antioxidant capacity. So taking amazing pomegranates and, part of my passion is really analyzing these things from a scientific and medical standpoint and really discovering the true nutritional value behind everything that we do. So using pomegranates was something that's been very interesting and exciting to me for a long time. So we're, super excited to launch that this week.
Very cool. Well, Larry, I'm very interested to hear about what you think about Just Date from a business strategy perspective, and how they're, as you mentioned, or as you were interested earlier and talked about creating a platform brand based on the initial product and the initial focus.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations on the launches. It sounds fantastic. Obviously, a category where consumers are looking every day to try to reduce their sugar intake where they can and find alternatives. And it's been, an incredibly innovative category. I just wonder, maybe tell me a little bit about like what the taste profile would be, and maybe, you articulated some of the usage occasion, but can you talk about where it differ from alternative sweeteners?
Absolutely. So our date syrup, just to start with that, has this really rich caramel flavor, and it can replace sugar in about anything, and it's our most versatile sweetener. So anywhere from coffee and tea to baked goods, just squeeze a little bit in almond milk. I hear that a lot as a sweet treat. And I love it as a replacement in baked goods as well. So it can really replace refined sugar. We're also coming out with dry date sugar later this summer that will have those same characteristics of being able to replace like a dry white sugar in a cake or cookies or anything like that. Our pomegranate is very tart and bright. So if you can imagine like a fresh tasting pomegranate, exactly what that tastes like, that's what we try to capture in our syrup. So it actually brings a really tart and bright flavor to oatmeal, yogurt, salad dressings, and then we'll be launching some holiday flavors later this year as well, that will also kind of bring in that decadent indulgence that everyone craves, but to do it in a safe and healthy way. And all of our products, from my point of view, need to be really focused on that glycemic index and how it's affecting your blood sugar in real time.
That's great. I was going to ask you, just as a follow-up, did you know what the shelf life is for a syrup in this category, or where you're?
Yeah, it's 2 years without any preservatives or additives on shelf, no refrigeration. The concentration process brings us a really low water activity and a low pH. So we don't have to add anything additional to reach that shelf life as well.
That's great, fantastic.
Sylvie, did you mention you're a doctor?
I did.
I'm interested to hear, when you're making these pitches, when you're asking for investment or talking to retailers, how much do you lean on your experience as a doctor? And Larry, how much weight does that hold for you in terms of thinking about investing in a brand?
Yeah, so I would say that being a doctor obviously does not lend itself to business experience and expanding CPG, but what it does lend itself to is a real love for learning and for trying to take in a lot of information and be able to use that to grow my brand. So, we're now in 1,700 doors and did that organically without funding. So I think one of the things that being a doctor has brought to this business is just a really intense work ethic. And so been able to apply that to growing this brand.
Nice.
Yeah, there's just, the comment from my end, I think, a key part of any brand is the authenticity of, the solution. And, we heard it from, our first group, GFB, that, was a celiac, has celiac, and that was kind of the, the influence for him to kind of work in that category and provide a solution. I think, the authenticity and the credibility of what you're bringing here is, a great part of, I think, the story. And we see that a lot with founders, because who better to know how to solve a problem than the person that's, in the middle of that particular issue. So, that credibility, I think, goes a long way in crafting that brand story that we love. So congrats on that. That's an amazing background to this.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, Sylvie, thank you so much for joining us on the live stream, and please stay in touch.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Sylvie Charles, who's the CEO and co-founder of Just Date. Interesting stuff. Are you a consumer of these types of products, Larry? Do you get into the date syrup, the pomegranate syrup?
I haven't tried those particular, that particular product. Alternative sweeteners. We're always looking whether that's within an ingredient deck, for some of our brands, or within itself as a product or a solution. I think natural sweeteners is a core way to make a product deck, ingredient deck better. So I applaud that, and I think consumers are looking for those alternatives. There's a lot out there. I think it's competitive. No doubt it's a competitive space. Finding the right niche there is, I think, the key to what, she may be doing in the future here.
Mm-hmm. All right. If you're just tuning in, you're watching BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. I'm Ray Latif, joined by Larry Kahn, a managing partner with Beechwood Capital. We're talking to entrepreneurs from across the country about their innovative brands, products, and news related to those brands and products. Up next is August Vega, the co-founder and CEO of Malk. August, how are you?
Hey, Ray, it's so good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Hi, Larry. Nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you.
I have an old friend. Before we get started, I have to tell you who's sitting at my desk with me.
Okay. There it is. It's a BevNet Best of Award for Malk. Malk is almost BevNet royalty at this point. A winner of BevNet's New Beverage Showdown 10 back in 2005. Obviously a best of winner, as August just showed you, and also a featured guest on episode 30 of Taste Radio Insider. The episode was called "The Goal is to Build a $1 billion Brand."
Oh boy.
August, how much closer are you than we last talked on the podcast?
Closer every day, right? But it's a marathon, obviously. So keep striving to the goal.
Totally. Folks are probably familiar with Malk, but for those who aren't, tell us a bit about the brand.
Sure. So Malk is a family-owned plant-based company. We currently have a line that includes a variety of plant-based milks and creamers, which is kind of the new stuff that we've got going on. But we've been around since 2014. We are distributed throughout the United States and now in Canada. So that's some distribution news. And we have recently launched the cleanest oat milk on the market. No oils, no binders, no fillers. That launched in February. And we're super proud of a new formulation of our creamers, which now includes vegan omegas. So we're moving and shaking and trying to crank out as much as we can.
Very cool. You also got some news about your packaging, your striking packaging, that is. Tell us about that.
Yes. So we're moving to a 100% post-consumer recycled bottle. We have some packaging updates coming up this year. We're recently Whole 30 certified on several of our SKUs, so that'll be on the package as well. And of course, last year we became not only organic, but glyphosate residue free. So all of our products are glyphosate residue free. We're looking at things holistically, like how can we protect Mother Earth? How can we protect our constituents' bodies? How can we give back, from a farming perspective? So trying to encompass all of those things in everything we do.
Very cool. Well, Larry, as August just mentioned, clean label, and as you mentioned earlier, more consumers are looking for these types of products. I have a feeling that you've seen Malk and probably been following the progress of the brand. Now's your opportunity to ask August some questions that you might have, some burning questions, that is, that you may have wanted to ask her in the past. What do you think of the brand? What do you think of the business?
No, I mean, listen, obviously, big fans of the brand, and what you've done is you're one of the pioneers on shelf in terms of, alternative dairy. And so congratulations on everything you've done. And I think, I think one of the checklists that we have for any of the brands that we work with or are lucky enough to take a look at is how do they address, sustainable packaging, because I think the consumer is demanding, that every day as table stakes. I just wondered, is there also, and we've heard, sometimes you get an ancillary benefit to that with Tetra. Are you seeing a better shelf life with the new packaging? Are you seeing some cost benefit? Is there a double benefit to this? Or is it making it more challenging? You know what I mean? Because I know you have to go there for the consumer, and we believe in that. But does it have a double benefit or some negatives as well?
From a cost perspective, there's no benefit. But from a, the mission of the company and the ethos of what we're doing and who we are, the benefits way outweigh any incremental cost, right? What we do is look for what are the key drivers, both from a consumer perspective, an in-shelf perspective, from the grocer's perspective, and then what can we live with, and how can we make up for the larger costs in areas. And so that's how we approached it. I think that, as time goes on, the benefits way outweigh any of the costs associated.
100%. And have you found just with, with COVID and kind of a continuing evolution, particularly of the natural retailers, the competition in this space, are you able, what's the competition really look like as you move forward? Is there less shelf space? Is there more shelf space happening in the alternative dairy set, with the number of competitors that are there?
Sure. I mean, I think it's a really fluid conversation, and it's something that we're analyzing as frequently as we can gain data, which in some days is on a day-to-day basis, and for other syndicates, it's weekly or monthly or sometimes quarterly. But we're very, very data-driven. So as we're moving through this kind of new world, as a lot of us continue to call it, that's what we're looking at. And luckily, over the past, 18 months, we've developed a couple of different lines of products. So we have the product that lasts about 45 days once it's on shelf. And that's really for the natural and more premium stores. And then we have a product that lasts 90 days on shelf. And so we're really trying to pivot and ensure that we have an offering for everyone that, again, is aligned with our ethos and what we're trying to do as a company and a brand. But looking into the future, how do we provide products that, we have something to offer that's clean, that's glyphosate residue free, that's in a package that makes sense, but we have an offering for every, socioeconomic area, right? Like it's a challenge, but it's one that I'm glad we're faced with, because it's causing us to really look at the way that we're doing things and how to provide something for everyone.
Great stuff, August. It's amazing to see how the brand has evolved over the years. And it just seems like yesterday when you were on stage at BevNet Live, and not only winning the New Beverage Showdown, but receiving that award, my producer said that he couldn't see the award because I was gabbing during this time. Could you show it one more time?
Yes.
There it is.
Boom.
Well
it was
done.
Great. Like one of the greatest days in our whole company history. I mean, it was like, how much can you take in one day from the industry? It was nice. So you guys have a special place for us.
Thank you very much. Well, it's fully deserved. August, so great seeing you. Hope everything is well, and can't wait to see you in person soon.
Can't wait to see you either. And Larry, it was a pleasure meeting you. You guys have a great rest of your chats.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, August Vega, the founder and CEO of Malk. August talked about data as being really a critical part of their business strategy. How much does data impact what you guys do, Larry? And how much value do you put into data when you're evaluating brands?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think for us, because we're typically investing, at that Series A or Series B level, where we see a lot of proof of concept, or at least initial, kind of maybe large customer proof of concept. So we rely, on data on a number of different fronts, particularly, kind of evaluating velocity at the store level. That gives us a feel for, does a product have traction? And I think some of that baseline is important. But I think where we're also investing, that part of that gut, what we call kind of gut fundamentals, is also a big part of that. I mean, I think we're data driven to an extent, but when we're evaluating companies, I think, our common view and our fit with the founders, the differentiation or opportunity within the product set is kind of weighed appropriately against, the core data, because, it helps you to make that decision at the early stage. So I think we balance it. It's important, but it's a part of the process, not the whole process.
Outstanding. All right, so let's keep on keeping on here on BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. Up next is Maynard Okereke, who's the co-founder and COO of Jada Spices. Maynard, how are you? Maynard, you're muted.
But there we go. Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Jada Spices. Am I pronouncing it correctly, or because there's
Jada Spices.
Jada.
Yes.
Good Lord, I apologize. There's a tequila brand called Jaja, and it's spelled Jaja. And I guess I must have tequila on my mind because
you got tequila on your mind, as we should.
That must
not
be
Friday yet. Not close.
All right, Jada Spices. Tell us about your brand.
Yes, so we at Jada Spices, we are encouraging healthier home cooking, and we have a line of our chicken salt and turmeric salt seasoning. So people that aren't familiar with chicken salt, because that's the number one thing that we hear is, what is chicken salt? If you go to Australia, a beautiful place down under, chicken salt is a huge phenomenon down there. If you go to any home, restaurant, bar, any establishment, you ask for salt, pepper, and chicken salt. It's a cultural phenomenon there. Everybody knows about it. Everybody uses it. Everybody's absolutely in love with it. But there's no chicken salt products here. And their product there is actually made with dehydrated chicken fat, chicken stock, MSG, a bunch of other additives. Myself and my business partner, he grew up in Australia using the product. And we had the idea of introducing it to the United States and creating a healthier version so that people that are looking for more plant-based options and people that want to be able to cook healthier meals can also enjoy the same great flavor of the original chicken salt that Australians are familiar with. So we developed our line of chicken salt and we expanded our line. So we have multiple different flavors outside of our original. We include our barbecue, red pepper, our lime, our reduced sodium version, and then our turmeric salt seasoning as well. So we've been in business now for about 4 years, selling here in the US, primarily online, and have been expanding, getting distribution into a lot of different other markets, and now have international distribution as well too. And it's been great being able to introduce a new product, being able to spearhead a kind of new movement within the spice industry and kind of sparking things up and stirring things up right now in an industry that's pretty much remained stagnant for a long time. So that's something that we definitely take pride in.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's an opportunity to disrupt a legacy space like spices. This is the first time I'm hearing about chicken salt. Larry, are you familiar with the spice?
I haven't. I'm not familiar. I got to learn here. You got to. Is the product? Is there also a part of this that's is it allergen free, or what's the Give me another part of the hook here.
Yes. So what really separates our product and makes our product unique is a couple of things. One, all of our products are turmeric based. So people that are familiar with turmeric, you obviously have a lot of people that use like turmeric capsules, turmeric pills. People make turmeric coffee. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory. It's really good for your bones and joints, good for healing. And by using our products, it's just an extra way to be able to include more turmeric into your daily diet. So with the foods that you're cooking, everything that you're eating on a day-to-day basis, you're also able to gain those extra health benefits from turmeric. And vegans really love our products because our seasoning works as a good substitute to chicken bouillon. So people that are looking to make broths or soup dishes that kind of have that rich umami taste, you can't get that from basic table salts or from other all-purpose seasonings. Ours you can use before, during, or after cooking. So it works as a bouillon seasoning to be able to give that familiar broth taste. But you could also use it as a regular all-purpose seasoning where you could just use it after you finish cooking as well too. So it's really versatile, all-purpose, multiple different uses for our seasoning, which is one thing that we're definitely take pride in as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
How much do you lean on the functional attribute? I mean, as you mentioned, you talked a lot about the benefits of turmeric. Does that come into play in your packaging and your communication about the brand?
Yes, absolutely. We really kind of broke ground on the grassroots level, no pun intended. But we're doing a lot of vegan festivals. So myself and my business partner, we decided the best way was just kind of do guerrilla marketing and really get hands-on with our customers and our customer base. And we're doing vegan festivals, probably about 2 vegan festivals a month all across the country. And we were getting a chance to introduce people to our seasoning, obviously giving them the education of what chicken salt is. But we also have a line of turmeric salt seasoning. So outside of our 5 flavors of turmeric salt, we also have our chicken salt. We also have our turmeric salt. This kind of has the same great all-purpose benefits of our other seasoning and those same values, though with an extra amount of turmeric. So people that are looking to gain more turmeric in their diet, we definitely brand this as a way to be able to add those healthier benefits. And the turmeric salt really has an easier kind of sell for itself because people see the label of turmeric salt and they're automatically kind of familiar with the buzz about turmeric, exactly what turmeric is. And so this has actually been one of our newest really best sellers. QVC just took this on and it's been really breaking graves with the new market for people that are looking for healthier and specifically turmeric products as well. So that's definitely something we highlight when we pitch our product.
Yeah, you talked about your direct opportunity. Where do you see the retailer relationship going from a distribution standpoint? Where do you want to be you know,
Yes.
Whole Foods, natural store kind of focused product initially, or where do you see it?
Yeah. So originally, kind of our first big wave, like everybody that's trying to get their product out, was we wanted to be able to flood every big grocery store with our seasoning. And we got into a couple big chains here in Los Angeles. We're based here in the Southern California area. We got into Bristol Farms and Gelson's, which are both 18-store chains. They're pretty fundamental stores here, foundational stores here in the area. What we started to realize, especially with our seasoning being such a low turnover product, we don't move a lot of units like through the season unless we're at that scale yet. And so we've really been focusing on the online platforms, which we've been doing our best sales on, whether it's through Amazon, through our website, and also working with other online platforms as well. We are right now in negotiations with Sprouts, because we've definitely identified a few grocery stores as locations that we want to be able to get our product in. So Sprouts, Whole Foods, we're in current discussions with. We are pretty much on the verge of getting to Sprouts, and Whole Foods is another sector that we want to be able to scale our product in nationally. So as far as the retail side, of course, we want to get our products onto all the shelves. We want to definitely do it strategically. And I think with our product, a lot of it is education, getting people familiar with the product, getting the buzz out there about our product. And we've been doing a great job of that through our online platforms, through a lot of the vegan festivals and different marketings and QVC that we're on now as well too, has really been helping us spearhead that. And then also we have international distribution. So we sell to a bunch of markets in Australia, a bunch of markets in Europe, Singapore, Guatemala, other places in South America as well too, that are doing more bulk orders of our seasoning. So we're definitely kind of expanding our distribution opportunities to a lot of different areas, and obviously doing the specialty stores, all natural markets, and all those different things as well too. So lots of opportunities for sure.
Maynard, we have about 30 seconds left, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about how you demo the product. You know, when you are in a Sprouts, or next time you have an opportunity to be in Sprouts and demo the product, what kind of food do you put it on? And my mouth is watering because I want to know what kind of food.
Yes. Well, we found the simplest way for people to actually be able to taste our seasoning when we do festivals and when we've done stuff at Gelson's and Bristol Farms. We've really simply sampled it on pieces of cucumber and tomatoes. It goes really well because those are products that people are familiar with the taste of. So when you sprinkle our seasoning on there, you get a full grasp of all the different elements, garlic powder, onion powder, sea salt, and turmeric that's within our products. We also sample on popcorn as well too, because our seasoning goes really, really great as popcorn seasoning. So people go crazy when they taste it on popcorn. French fries is something that we've also experimented with, especially our lime flavor. It gives our French fries a new fantastic taste that people have never really been experienced to. And so those are kind of different fundamental things that we usually sample on, and it kind of gives people something that they're familiar with, but also a chance to be able to experience a new taste profile once they add our seasoning on there.
You're killing me over here. Popcorn.
Yeah, you gotta send me some. You'll send me some after this. We'll try it.
Oh, definitely.
I saw Larry's face when you said French fries, and just the corner of his mouth just opened up.
You gotta help my home cooking over here. That's
hey, we're all at home right now. This is the time. We've all become expert chefs in this day and age now.
Chefs for sure. Chefs for sure. Maynard, it's been so great speaking with you. Thanks so much for sharing everything about Jada Spices with us here on the live stream.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. That was Maynard Okereke, who's the co-founder and COO of Jada Spices. Great stuff. I can't wait to try that product. The French fries, yeah. The popcorn got me. The French fries look like they got you, Larry.
I think he articulated just a uniqueness to what he's doing, and I think that that creativity or the way he's describing it, I think draws you in. And if he's able to demo that, again, demos are a little bit weird in the COVID era. Obviously, there's some adjustments to that. But hey, listen, I think he's got an innovative product, and if he can show that, it can stand on the shelf. It was interesting.
For sure. All right, up next are Christy and Chuck Krejci, who are the co-founders of Vegetarian Traveler, the makers of Munchy Crunchy Protein. Christy, Chuck, how are you?
Very good. We're well, thank you.
Very good. Did I get Krejci correctly, or did I mispronounce that?
Nailed it. Yeah. That is very rare. Very rare.
Well, there's a hockey player for the Boston Bruins here. I believe his last name is Krejci. So
David Krejci, absolutely.
There you go.
We have not held the cup yet, but and I don't think we're technically related, but the name is rare enough to say we are.
There's definitely an indirect relationship somewhere down the line.
There is.
Yes. So Munchy Crunchy Protein sounds really nice, actually. Tell us about the brand.
Well, I'll just a little bit of our mission is really just to provide a plant-based, high-protein eating options for everybody. So we have two product lines, our protein toppers, which is a meal topper, and we moved to kind of pivot to the Munchy Crunchy Protein after talking with registered dietitian, nutritionists, and fitness experts. They love our protein toppers, and they said, hey, the one eating occasion that you're missing really is a snack. And so we went ahead and pivoted to our Munchy Crunchy Protein. It's awesomely delicious and crunchy, very high protein. And it comes in 3 flavors. We have a rock and ranch, we have a salted caramel, and we have a chill and chipotle. So we kind of get the full range of flavors. And, you know, it's 100% plant-based, keto-friendly, gluten-free, GMO-free, nut-free. It delivers 16 grams of protein in each serving, and this is just really a great time to bring out a healthy snack.
So what's the texture of your products? I mean, it sounds really crunchy, but does it sort of play in the puff category? Is it a little bit more like sort of a crunch like a Cheeto or something like that?
It's crunchy. The ingredients are roasted. We do have all non-GMO, so we have a little organics we're working in that direction. So when you pop those in, they are crunchy and they give you that great flavor and gives you that, you know, that feeling of fullness by getting that extra protein, and the flavors are fun.
When you roast a soybean or an edamame or a chickpea or something to that effect, you get, and it's dry, some are oil roasted, some are dry roasted, but you get that light crunch, but it's a definite crunch. And with our protein toppers, we had some other ingredients as well. So for example, one of them had raw pumpkin seeds, and some other crisps and things. So crunch is a big part of satiety, and people love the crunch. And of course, with our meal toppers or protein toppers, it was, the crunch adds a lot to the foods that you're topping it on. But with the snack, many, if not most snacks are crunchy. And so it delivers that delightful crunch, but also, as Christy said, delivers a whopping amount of protein. I mean, 16 grams of protein in a small serving is a lot of protein. It also delivers a lot of fiber, so 7 grams of fiber. And so when you add all those things up, you end up with a snack that totally delivers on the nutrition, right? Low sugar, high or no sugar added, high fiber, high protein. So it provides the taste and texture that you want in the snack, but it also delivers the nutritional qualities that end up keeping you filled and satisfied, so you don't go for that donut or that other less healthy, you know, chips or some bag of chips or some kind of sweet crunchy thing that, you know, you crash and burn, right? That's why a Keto Crate, in fact, before we even had our first production run, which just happened this year in February, we'd already committed to Keto Crate because they were all over us. And so we delivered like 14,000 packets to Keto Crate because their users love it. And it's just right up the alley of Keto Crate. So it works with virtually every affinity group of you know, eating tribes that are out there. And that's all by design. We've done this by design. We've been extremely deliberative in all of the steps that we've taken to make sure that we hit something that is absolutely on trend in so many ways.
Larry, you know a thing or two about investing in products that are traditional products that are infused with protein or contain a lot of protein in them. Bonza, obviously, with its products. You know, I'm curious as to your thoughts about Munchy Crunchy Protein and what they're doing in the snack business.
Yeah, listen, I like the, you know, I like the pitch on particularly the high protein. And, you know, it's such a consumer trend to be looking for alternative forms of protein, particularly, you know, on the go. And I think that this is something that can meet that. It's a highly competitive category, obviously. I like the savory and the sweet options because I think that provides a little bit of a you know, kind of a variable for, for consumers to choose. I think, digging deeper into, the protein, I think you mentioned legumes as a core to some of your products here. And, but is it because you mentioned nut-free, so is legumes what's providing the protein here in your current snack profile? I didn't get that quite from the pitch.
So in the snack profile, the Munchy Crunchy protein, all three flavors are versions of soybean. So we have an exotic black soybean, which is considered to be the pearl of soybeans, and we have a golden soybean. We also have edamame, and so that's how we get a really whopping amount of protein. The Munchy Crunchy protein again was the second. As Christy mentioned, we pivoted to add the snack. The previous versions had pumpkin seeds, had garbanzo beans, had and other ingredients that would add to the protein. But our goal is not to just be another one of those that adds 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 grams of protein. Our lowest protein offering was 15 grams in a small. Each serving is about a third of a cup. And so our lowest amount of protein was 15 grams. And so to get a complete protein, to get the high quality plant protein, we've gone with the legume route, no nuts, except for the people that are running the company.
Right. And what's the price point you're looking at here as to put in competitive to the marketplace? What's the price point?
So the price point, the suggested retail price point is $269 for a packet. And so when we look at some other sets, again, there are no other, to be honest with you, we have found no other plant-based products that offer this much protein in this small of a serving and all of the versatility, and along with a high fiber content. And of course, all the other nutrition that comes from a plant-based product, I mean, the micronutrients and such. Also, because we had no sugars, well, the salted caramel has 1 gram added sugar. That's the highest sugar that we add. And so the others have no added sugars. And so it works for a range of people, whether you're keto or gluten-free, or whether you're, for the diabetic patients. Of course, as you know, diabetes is a scourge in the country, actually in the world, certainly in this country. And so the American Association of Diabetic Educators, for example, absolutely went crazy to say, here's a product that absolutely meets all the nutritional needs and none of the negatives. And so same with we've gone to the fancy shows, and the nutritionists and dietitians there say they've never seen a product like this. And so there are competing products, but nothing up to the standards. I mean, we're basically twice the protein of most other products. And so again, Vegetarian Traveler sells protein. That is our main play. We have high quality nutrition, but the protein is the primary play. And so when you look at a bag of almonds, say for example on a shelf, comparable, an ounce of almonds or something like that. Hey, and we love almonds. We have almonds in our pantry all the time anyway, or peanuts or cashews. But when you look at the amount of protein you get in those nuts, it is not close to the amount of protein that you get in this product. I mean, we like to have a variety of foods, so we eat a variety of foods. But for us, it was about maximizing the protein. Whether you add it to the foods, which is what our first line of products do, protein toppers, they're made to add to foods. Whether you put it on your breakfast cereal in the morning, or your yogurt, or your oatmeal, or your soup, salad, or stir fry, or pastas, or wraps, all those things, it works exactly the same for all of those things. And then you add the snack component, which, by the way, is not only as a snack, but you put the rock and ranch on a salad, or the chill and chipotle, and it's like unbelievable. So you get all the nutritional benefits plus the flavor. So while we know there is competition out there, the goal is to find the people that are looking for that particular protein that's also keto-friendly, gluten-free, non-GMO, and the rest.
Well, Chuck, Christy, you guys did a great job talking about your brand, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. Really interesting space, really interesting product. Thank you so much for joining us on the live stream, and please stay in touch.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The brand is Munchy Crunchy Protein. The entrepreneurs are Christy and Chuck Krejci. The company is called Vegetarian Traveler. Look for it soon. All right. On to our final guest of the show. That's Risha Gupta, who's the founder of Good Food for Good. How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you, Ray.
Nice to meet you as well. I didn't dare pronounce your first name again. I apologize. Is it Risha or Richa?
It's like Richard without the last part. Richa.
Richa. Okay.
Yeah,
so I
like
should
it
have.
says.
Okay, I should have been more confident in how I spoke it.
No worries about that.
Calling from Toronto, Canada. I'm assuming that's where the company's based.
That's correct.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Hi, Larry. Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Good Food for Good. I love it. I love the name. Tell us about what you guys do.
Sure. Good Food for Good is a registered B Corp on a mission to making it easy for people to eat well and do good. So I started this company to make a positive difference in two of the world's biggest food-related challenges. One is abundance of bad food that results in 1 in 5 deaths now are linked to a diet that's high in sugar, salts, and processed meat. And on the other side, we have 1 in 9 people still going to bed hungry. So at Good Food for Good, we are trying to create a solution or trying to solve that problem with one solution, with those two problems with one solution. So we have a line of organic sauces that are Whole30 approved, paleo, keto, friendly, and also vegan that allow people to eat healthy. And at the same time, our buy one, feed one mission allows them to feed a person in need with every purchase they make. So we have donated over 300,000 meals through our giving partners, which are local and global food banks, and made a difference in millions of meals around Canada. So as you said, we are from Canada, so our distribution mainly is in Canada. But on Thrive Market, we did a soft launch, and in the first 3 months, our condiments were one of the top sellers. And we launched just in May, just last month, at Whole Foods Midwest. And just trying to figure out how to promote the product without actually being allowed to be there physically because of pandemic. And the new news for our products is we are launching our line of cooking sauces in US in September.
Very cool. A lot. You outlined quite a bit about the brand. It's interesting. There's a social mission component. You talked about the product attributes: vegan, keto, paleo, and Whole30. I assume these are great tasting products as well. What's the hierarchy in terms of communication and how you talk to consumers about the brand?
So when I designed the products, it was designed for families. It was actually made for families with kids. Keto, paleo, Whole30 all came in after we launched pretty much. And then we started realizing it fits into all those diets. So our hierarchy is first taste, clean ingredients, and then that it also falls into all those diets.
Larry, ethnic cooking at home is something that we see more and more consumers embracing. What do you think about the opportunity for Good Food for Good, in particular the new sauces that they're launching?
Yeah, I liked a lot. I mean, I certainly liked a lot what I've heard. I mean, there's been a lot of focus on the, kind of condiment sauce, categories or spice categories on the show. It shows you that, as people are looking at innovating around, all the way through center store and into like very large categories where people use products every day, that there's solutions out there. My question would be, is the product shelf stable? Are you refrigerated? Sauce here, or where would we find you in the aisle in Whole Foods or Sprouts or wherever?
For sure. So we have our ketchups and barbecue sauces are shelf stable. They are sweetened with dates, so that's their main, and certified organic, so that's their main claim to fame. Our cooking sauces are refrigerated, so that by far is the cleanest deck that you can find in market. So you'll probably find it in the tofu aisle or the produce aisle. That's where merchants have been merchandising our product.
And what kind of cooking sauces are really kind of the core to your new line? What types, what flavors?
For sure. So we have Indian and Mexican. So in our Indian line, we have vegan butter chicken, vegan tikka masala, and coconut curry, and all of them are vegan. But I wanted to say butter chicken because people think chicken is chicken. And our Mexican line, we have a spicy and a classic taco.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, certainly, consumers are looking to simplify, their cooking at home, and the ability to have kind of ready-made recipe-based sauces sounds, and also the ethnic component that Ray talked about. I think it's something that we see a lot of. Point when, again, maybe focusing on that a little bit. It's obviously refrigerated, and the refrigerated aisle can add a little cost to your distribution. So talk a little bit about that.
For sure. It hasn't really made that bigger difference in pricing when we ship, at least from Canada. So it'll retail at $7.99, which is at a premium as compared to what's on the market. But as I said, it is once you look at the ingredients, it's the cleanest ingredients. All we use it's all tomatoes, onions, garlic, ginger, just vegetables. Instead of sugar, we use dates. You already heard about benefits of dates, so I don't have to talk about them. And for creamer, we use hemp. So it's all loaded with superfood, just good, real food. Like I created this as a mom, food that I would feel good feeding my family, right? So that's how it was born.
Again, the authenticity that we talked about, Ray, earlier, right? It's like the solving a problem, and I think with the social component, sounds like you're on the right track of continuing to evolve the business and offer up a couple different solutions, which sound fantastic.
Thank you. And I think what we are trying to create is a platform, and this is our first array into sauces. And then my personal goal is to just make it easy for people to eat real, wholesome, plant-based, and not just fake meat way plant-based.
Well, that's a fantastic goal, and one that is certainly on trend. Richard, thank you so much for sharing the story behind your brand. It sounds like you're off to a fantastic start with the sauces, and I don't know, I'm pretty excited to try them.
Thank you.
All right. Please stay in touch, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. That was Richard Gupta, who is the founder of Good Food for Good, our final participant in this episode of BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. Larry, it's just so fun talking to all these entrepreneurs and hearing about their brands, hearing about their products. I think, one of the most amazing things I get to do here at BevNet is just showcase the breadth of innovation and disruptive concepts that are coming to market. Overall, what did you think of the folks that we talked to today? And, in general, where do you think they need the most help?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think it was interesting because there was a wide breadth of, I guess, both stage and categories that we saw, which was kind of fun. I guess that's what you guys are trying to do as you segment your content here. And I think that's fun for me because, different stage companies, and we even see it as we invest, right? The needs and the way we add value in the beginning of our investment may change very much along the way. And I think all these companies have different challenges depending on the stage and, kind of the categories that they've entered. So, I think a lot of what we talked about maybe is, how to differentiate on shelf or I think a lot of these products have very unique attributes, maybe too many attributes. So how do you, kind of really focus in and give that, lack of, no pun intended, that elevator pitch on your package that says what you're about so that consumers can recognize that. I think that's even more important in the kind of post-pandemic or current pandemic world, in the sense that, you might have less shelf space, or even, no shelf at all, right? Direct to really articulate your differentiation. So I think that was key. And then, talking about, I think, again, the ability to, talk about innovation in a way that, really is going to reach a consumer, but also is, probably cost effective. And we asked a lot about, price point. And I think that's something that's top of mind, for every consumer today is not only the best products, but what fits into my budget. So trying to find that commonality is tough. But I think, all these guys are on the right track. They all have, there's no question that all of them have innovative products. Trying to find the right, kind of positioning for them and the right articulation of that innovation, I think, is a challenge, for all these companies and companies in our portfolio as well. So.
Well, that's very well said, and such great advice you've given, Larry. Thank you so much. For folks who haven't had a chance to listen to Larry's podcast in episode 15 of Taste Radio Insider, I highly recommend you do it. It goes inside the mind of a venture capitalist, investment bank, investor. A lot of really good information in there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, he has to say this because he's a Bostonian. He's got to, he's got to give me this, But no, it was a pleasure as always, and thanks for providing the forum. It's fun to do it.
Well, we got to have you back soon.
Thanks.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed watching today's episode of BevNet Elevator Talk live stream. A lot more content coming at you in the coming weeks. Next week, we talked about Malk and winning the New Beverage Showdown. Next week, we have our New Beverage Showdown and Pitch Slam competitions. That's BevNet's New Beverage Showdown, sponsored by Venturing and Emerging Brands, and Nosh's Pitch Slam 8, which is sponsored by 301 Inc. The semifinal rounds for both competitions are happening on Tuesday of next week. You don't want to miss it. Going to be a lot of fun talking to 12 early stage brands in food, 12 early stage brands in beverage. Also, June 23rd and 24th, please don't miss BevNet and Nosh virtually live, a fantastic event that has education, content, networking opportunities aplenty. Look for more information on BevNET.com and Nosh.com. Signing off for a fantastic Larry Kahn and our amazing team at BevNet and Nosh, I'm Ray Latif, and we'll see you next time.